Hello and welcome back to our new player series in Crusader Kings 2. So last time we went and we sorted out everything that we're doing with ourselves and our family. So we're all set up, we have focuses, we have education setups, we have ambitions, that sort of stuff's done. Now we're going to set up the realm a little bit more. So first things first, we're going to set up our council. And our council is basically 5 people who will vote on laws with us. Or there can be more than 5 people, I should say. If we have a look at, I think, our Allegiance Council, the higher rank you go, you start to get advisors. And advisors are people who have no job, basically, but can still vote on laws. So it's important to know that they exist, not so important to actually, look at them right now. So, basically, a normal council will have 5 people in it, and they all have jobs that they can do. We have a Chancellor, who kind of handles your diplomacy jobs. You have a Marshal, who handles your kind of, well, marshally jobs. Steward handles all the stewardship jobs, so on, so on. And this little number here is their stats. So if we have a look at our Chancellor here, 16 diplomacy, you can also see it on their page. They have 16 diplomacy. Generally, for council members, you'll see we have these little fists right next to some of them. This means that they are a powerful vassal of ours, and that means I believe that they have a certain percentage of our strength. And this means that they will get all annoyed if you don't actually put them in charge. So say they're a powerful vassal, they're high rank, and you don't put them on the council, you get a negative 40 opinion modifier. Now to put this into context, opinion goes from negative 100 to 100. So negative 40 is actually pretty huge, given that anything below 0 means they pretty much dislike you. Anything above 0 means they like you. So it makes them more likely to dislike you, which is something you don't want your powerful vassals to do, because then they'll join factions, and they'll start to rise up, and they'll be like, and they'll start to think that you're not a great ruler. Now, this little number here also gets added to another number. It gets added to our state diplomacy, or state marshal, all that sort of stuff. So if we hover over here, we'll see that that's made up of our diplomacy, our spouse's diplomacy, well, half of our spouse's diplomacy. You'll see our spouse actually has 4 diplomacy. We'll talk about that in just a second. And then it also adds in our entire councillor's diplomacy. So these basically kind of do similar stuff to our personal one, but they don't affect events, as far as I haven't seen any events where this affects it. So while our personal diplomacy, if it's really high, we can use to kind of flatter vassals away, can't use the state diplomacy for that. Our state diplomacy will just kind of, it'll do a ton of other little things around, and they'll all basically be based around that kind of it'll be based around how the character interacts with other people, basically. So, it's important to have that number be relatively high, but that's not the main reason why it's important. They do a ton of things, but the ton of things are all kind of small. Why it's important to have your councillors be good at their job is because they have an actual job to do, and they become more effective at it the higher that number is. So it makes sense. The better someone is at something, the better job they'll do at something. Or the quicker they'll do something. Now, the reason I said it was important to note that your spouse had half of their stat put in here. Well, that means it's important to get a good spouse, because their stats will go into this number. But it also means that if you put a spouse on your council, you might be thinking, oh great, I'm going to get a fantastic spouse, they're really good at intrigue. So I'm going to get their number, and I'm going to get half of their number, and then I'm going to put them on our council, and I'm going to get their full number in there, and then I have a really high state intrigue. That's not how it works, unfortunately. How it works is if you have your spouse on the council, you get their full modifier, so you get you'd get their full intrigue in here, but you wouldn't get another half on top of that. So ideally, what you want to do is you want to have a good spouse at something, and you want to have a good councillor, because then you get the full benefit of the councillor's attribute number, and you get the full benefit of your spouse's attribute number. Like, you get the half of it added in on top. So just thought I'd mention that. It's a little bit of a quirk. So our council. You may be noticing there are some major issues on our council, or at least one major issue. Our Spymaster has 0 intrigue. This means that he is awful at being a Spymaster. He is as bad a Spymaster as you can possibly get. So let's have a look at him, and we can maybe do something cool here. So, he has 0 intrigue. He does, however, have reasonable learning, and his diplomacy is not awful. So, what we might want to do, because he's a powerful vassal, we want to keep him on the council, right? We may want to move his position. So you can do that by right-clicking, and you can go change council position. Now, you could also just fire him. But if you change council position, he doesn't get annoyed that, like, if you fire him, he gets annoyed that he's left the council and he wanted to be on the council. So you get a negative 40 opinion modifier, and then I think another negative 20 on top of that. Which means he would dislike us by 16, I think. By negative 16. Let's have a look at his opinion here. It might be even more. No, it would be negative 16 he'd dislike us by. Now, if we change his position, he won't dislike us. He'll be absolutely fine with that. So let's see if we can maybe make him court chaplain. I'm not sure if that's possible. Let's have a look at our Chancellor as well. What's our Chancellor good at? Well, reasonably good at stewardship. So if we need to put this Spymaster into the Chancellor position, we can. And then maybe we can put our current Chancellor into the stewardship position. Our Steward is reasonably good at learning. He could possibly move down into the court chaplain position, and because our court chaplain is not, he's not landed, we don't really care. We can move him off the council. Our Marshal is, he's alright, but we may want to move him around as well. Now, another thing you can do is you can appoint a new person. So we'll see, these are the 3 other people we have available. None of them are landed, so we don't really care. Although that's for court chaplain. Let's choose another one, Chancellor. You still have the same 3 people available. Okay. Their stats are kind of alright, but none of them are landed, so we are probably not going to put them in charge of anything. So, let's do what we're going to do. So we're going to change this guy. We're going to change his council position, I think, to Chancellor. Is that right? Unless we can move him to court chaplain, which I don't think we can. Change council position. Yes, we want him to be our Chancellor. So it moves it around. He is now our Chancellor. So now our Spymaster has 5 intrigue. Now, we don't really want that. We want our Spymaster to have a little bit higher. So what's our Steward have? Does he have better intrigue? He has 7. So we're going to swap those 2 around. And change our council position with our Steward. There we go. That's much better. Now we have our council kind of set up a little bit nicer. Now, our Chancellor is obviously significantly worse. But we're kind of a little bit more average across the board rather than being really bad at one thing. So let's see what the council can actually do. Now you will notice we got this new little thing up here. I think this is actually new for this patch as well. Will pop up saying your council members don't have a job. Very useful. So let's zoom in on our realm a little bit here because we're going to have to. And we can see what they can do. So we've got a couple of new options from the previous patch. We got perform statecraft as a new option for Chancellor. Basically everything on the left here is actually, no. It's this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one are new options, but we'll talk through each one as we get there. Chancellor jobs. Perform a statecraft. So this is kind of generally improving relations. Now, I haven't tried this one yet, because it's pretty new, but it lowers your threat. Now, threat is basically a thing when you take land, it will add to your threat modifier. When it gets to certain numbers, people will join defensive pacts against you. Basically, people will band together and say, okay, we're not strong enough by ourselves to hold our land, so we'll join with someone else. And this can kind of make it lower a little bit quicker. But it also just generally improves relations with people. Like, it's just a general improving relations. If you perhaps don't want to improve relations with someone in particular, you just want everyone to like you a little bit more, this is where you go. Your next one, improve diplomatic relations. So this is very much, I have one of my vassals, they don't like me. For whatever reason, they just don't like me. You can use this. They may you can make that person start liking you. But you notice below it, it has a negative outcome. Sabotaged relations with Lord. So what this will be, is this will be if you have a bad Chancellor, they actually have a reasonably high chance of making someone dislike you. So you want to make sure you have a good Chancellor doing that job if you want it to happen, because otherwise you might get the bad event. Next one is fabricate claim. Now this is the main way that Catholic characters get a reason to declare war. They basically they send their Chancellor out. They pay. He finds somebody who will be able to make you a claim. You pay the money, you get a claim. Now this also has a negative effect added to it, where if the person whose land you're trying to claim comes up to you and is like, "Wait a second, this is my land. Why are you trying to fabricate a claim on it?" They'll get annoyed at you. So, and also, the yearly chance is very low if you have a bad Chancellor. So you want to have a good Chancellor so that you can get claims. We don't currently, so I suspect we're going to go for Statecraft, but we also have one more option to talk over, which is Slow Descent. Now this one I don't tend to use a lot because it's not very good. Basically it's basically the opposite of kind of Improve Relations. Or you can try and make it so that someone else will have people dislike them. So say you're trying to make a faction against your liege, you may want to Slow Descent with your liege. So you may want to put your Chancellor on your liege and say, okay, I want to make people dislike them. This will basically have a chance of making people dislike them. So if you're trying to get more people on your side, that might be a good thing. But also just making people like you more will also get them on your side. So I'm going to do Perform Statecraft. So that's just click the button. It's just 10% a chance each year that in relations in general will improve. But there is a chance that we will have some negative relations, which is 5% chance a year. So more chance of improving relations than not improving relations. Next one is Marshal. So Organize the Army is the new one here. So this one lowers your retinue maintenance cost and your horde maintenance cost. We haven't talked about either of those yet. So basically they're just standing armies. So like most of the time you have to raise your levies, which is raising up your armies. If you have a retinue or horde, you don't need to raise your armies, so they're still always there, but they cost a set amount. This would lower that cost. So it's a kind of at-peace thing for those people. It also has the outcomes where you can improve a commander. So basically, you can have it so that your commanders are better, so the people leading your armies are better, which is pretty good. You can find commanders, so you can get new ones. And I don't know what Commander Brawl exactly is, but I assume it's the negative effect of this. So it's probably like some of your commanders have infighting, and maybe it'll be a duel between them. So yeah, it's a reasonably good one if you're a larger realm, or if you have a retinue or a horde, and you want to just kind of have a peaceful thing that lowers your costs. Next one is Suppressed Revolt. Very useful if you have high revolt risk, obviously. This one will allow you to lower that revolt risk in one province. So basically you can send your marshal and you can say, okay, I'm going to lose out on something else, but we're not going to have a revolt. And that's a good thing. Next one is Train Troops. This one increases your levy size, so increases your base number of troops you can have, and increases your levy reinforcement rate. So say that you've just been in a tough war, a lot of people have died, you need your army to reinforce, so this just increases that rate. Possible outcomes. Main one is basically your levy reinforced quicker, and then you have Noble Interferes, which is your negative event here. But generally, this is just the one that you would go for 90% of the time. It just increases the amount of army you have, which means people think you're stronger, and then increases the amount that reinforces, so you can do wars quicker. And then the very last one is Research Military Tech. So this one basically spreads out your military tech throughout a country. So what would happen is you would have, say, this basic tech spread stuff, just kind of generalized. You would have your main place, they would get the tech first. And then each other place would have, like, a chance of it spreading there. And then what you want to do is this one would basically spread it out, and it would give everywhere else a chance of getting that tech. That's its baseline thing. And then the next stuff is possible outcomes. Military drill accident is basically a bad event to do with this. I forget what all of them do, but you know, it's a bad event. And then military secrets gives you some tech points, which you can then increase your base county's tech, which will then spread out everywhere else quicker. So if you want to try and get your realm all kind of teched up and be just kind of more advanced than everywhere else, this might be where you go. I suspect we're going to go with trained troops right now, because it's kind of very straightforward. We don't have any retinues or hordes, we don't have any revolt risk, at least as far as I can tell. If you're wondering, you can click on your province here, and right here under revolt risk, it'll tell you what it is. Our revolt risk is 0, so we have no revolt risk. So we're going to train troops. Right now we only have one province that we can put it on, which is our only province. We'll stick him on there. Next one is Steward. So, Administer Realm is the new one here, which he'll just try and improve your domain. So the domain is everything you directly control. So right now it would just be Dijon. So we can just send him to do that. 5% chance per year that happens. 5% chance per year that we get smugglers in here, which is the bad event. So that's alright. If you had a really good steward, that would be a good idea. But our one's not really that good. I mean, he's not awful. He's probably one of the better people on our council, but we don't necessarily want to do Administer Realm just yet. The next one is the one that you would go with 90% of the time, which is Collect Taxes. This one increases the amount of money you get baseline, which is really good. It just gives you a baseline amount of money. And then you get your positive thing, which is a special tithe is collected, so you get just a base amount of money. It'll just be a flat amount of money, and I believe it's based on how much money you make in the province that you send your steward to. So say you're making a lot of money, you'll get more flat money from this. You're making less money, you get less flat money from this. So it's generally a pretty good one to put on, because you'll just get a flat amount of money randomly, and you'll have your base amount of money pushed up. But it does have a negative event where peasants can attack your steward. Now, this one will generally wound them, or something like that. There'll be a chance of something really bad happening to them. So, this is bad. However, if your steward isn't someone important, say, this one's our mayor, he's not important, we're not going to probably improve relations with him ever. He's just somebody who we can say, okay, I don't really care if you die, so we're just going to send you out to collect taxes. I should talk about the other ones before I actually send him to do that. Oversee construction, increases build time modifier, so, well, decreases the amount of time it takes to build. So that's good if you're building stuff in your province and you want to do it quickly. This is where you go. Chance he meets the master builder, makes it, I think that one makes it go even quicker. And then a chance that your buildings are constructed slower. 10% chance per year that something bad will happen to it. So, right now that wouldn't be very good for us. One, because we don't have the money to buy buildings, and two, because there's a very high chance that something bad would happen. But then we get to the last one, which is Research Economy Tech. Now this one's just straightforward. You know how we were talking about military tech spread? This one's exactly the same, except it has no positive event and no negative events. So we're going to do Collect Taxes. Next one is Spymaster. Spymaster can scheme. So scheme is kind of the one that you'll be on most of the time, again. This one's order your Spymaster to uncover plots and discourage vassals from associating with factions. So, 7% chance that you find a plot. So, basically it increases the chance that you actually find out if somebody's maybe buying, maybe somebody wants to kill someone else. You've got a 7% higher chance that you will find that out. Now, each plot has a baseline chance based on their intrigue, their state intrigue, a whole bunch of different things, but baseline, this just increases your chance of finding out. Better your Spymaster is, the more chance they find out. Then we get the possible outcomes. So, 4% chance a year that you just find out about any plot, I believe. Then, vassal discouraged from joining factions. So what you can do is the event will pop up and it'll be like, I have found out information on your vassal. They are doing XYZ. Do you want to try and use this information to press them out of a faction? You can do it that way. And then there's a negative event where your thugs will attack your Spymaster. Chance that they get wounded. So that's generally what scheming is. Next one is new. Sabotage Province. So you can send them to somewhere else. You can send your Spymaster somewhere else and basically try and make their province worse. In some way, like get extra revolt risk, all that sort of stuff. So Sabotage Province, pretty high chance per year. Actually a fairly low chance per year that your Spymaster is discovered. So what you'll do is you'd send this, say, I wanted to attack somewhere. I wasn't too worried about actually how strong that province was when I get it. I'm fairly certain I can handle it, so what we'll do is we'll put Sabotage Province, we'll make them weaker, and make them an easier target for ourselves. Build a Spy Network is one that you may also use reasonably often. If you're trying to specifically plot against one person, this can be great, because it can spread rumors, it can have you can uncover stuff. This basically has your Spymaster go somewhere and try and help out with whatever you're doing. Now, it can also make it so that your vassals are discouraged from joining factions, and it can make it so nobles are encouraged to join your faction. So if you have a faction going, and you're like, okay, this guy would be great in it. He's a really powerful vassal underneath my liege. I want him to help me out with it. Put a spy network there, you have a chance of making that happen. And then the last one is one that you can quite often get away with doing as well, which is study technology. So, if you don't think anyone's plotting in your realm, if you're not plotting against anyone else, you might want to just do study technology. You send your Spymaster to somewhere that has better technology than yourself, and they basically steal it and bring it over to you. And they give you different amount of tech points. That's pretty cool. It's 6% chance of happening a year and 3% chance of your Spymaster being discovered right now. So I think this is probably the one we'll go with. So let's have a look here. You can find out tech. Now, there isn't a tech map mode. You'll see we have all these little map modes down here. None of them are tech. There is another way of potentially finding out tech, which is economy. And generally, places with higher economy will have higher tech. Just because the higher economy basically the higher tech causes the higher economy. Now, because I played a lot of the game, I'm fairly certain that Constantinople has the highest tech on the map at 12, 18, 18. And you can see if you hover over exactly what these are built up of. So if we go to the tech screen, you'll see that each tech is just kind of like, it's just blocks. You get points, you spend the points, you get another block, it does something. Now, what it means when it says 12, 18, 18 is basically if you add it up. So, you'll see that we have 2, 2, 2, so that's 6, 8, 10, 12. So we have 12 on that one, I think. Yeah, we have 12 on that one. So if we go to R1, we'll see that we are, well, we're actually 12, 18, 18 as well. Maybe wherever on the map is the same now? Yeah, okay, I guess we all start off as the same in Europe now. Must have changed that at some point. But Constantinople used to be the one that you always go for, because it had really high tech. But yeah, 12, 18, 18 basically means that if you have a look here, we have 12, we have 18, we have 18. But if you're playing somewhere that is worse, let's say you're playing over here in Denmark, you'll see it's 12, 6, 6. So if you want your economy and your cultures to be a little bit higher, you may go and spy on somewhere else. I guess actually, if our tech is like the highest on the map, we should just go and scheme. Oh, that's interesting. You used to have to click like scheme and then click your capital. Guess you don't have to do that anymore. It just kind of generally schemes. That's cool, because generally you'd always scheme in your capital, because that's where everything happened. Right, court chaplain. Let's see what they can do. First one is hunt apostates. So this one is obviously new for the new DLC, Monks and Mystics, because it's all about kind of finding different people in societies that are heretical, and it's about finding out what's going on there. And this one might be a good idea to go for, because it gives you monthly piety, which you don't get too many other places, like just for free, and then it gives you apostate found, fairly high chance per year. This one actually seems really good. Next one is proselytize, which is basically try and convert people. So basically what you can do is it will try and convert either a subject or a county to a different religion. Say that you're in a place with a lot of different religions, useful thing to do. If you conquer land of a different religion, you may want to try and convert it. Next one is research cultural tech. So this one, same as the Marshal one basically. Chance of spreading out culture, but there's also a chance you find a great philosopher or you find something heretical. So that's what that one does. And then the very last one is the one that you used to always go with, but I don't think we're going to always go with anymore because the Hunt Apostates one exists. But improve religious relations. So basically you would send your court chaplain off to the Pope, he'd improve relations, and there'd be more chance that all the things the Pope could do, like your court chaplain would just make him more likely to do it for you. So we're going to go with Hunt Apostates. There we go. We're just going to stick him on there and make sure he's actually doing it. Okay, so we've now given them all orders. Now, once you give them an order, you can't actually change it for, I think it's a year. It's 6 months then. Something like that. It's a reasonable amount of time, but it's not that long. It's basically like so that you can be, okay, I want to train troops, increase my levy size, raise up my levy. Okay, I've done that now, let's switch it over to something else. It's just so you can't do that. It's so you can't just, you don't have to constantly switching around as well. Right, and you also have this button, so you can forbid your councillors to lead armies, and we're going to do that for all of our councillors, because we don't want them leading armies, we want them doing their job. Right. So, I think we're going to end the episode here. We've kind of just talked about the council today, but it's an important one. Tomorrow, I think we're going to move on to talk about succession law. Somebody did ask a question about it, so I think it's important that we have a little bit of a talk about that, and then we'll move on to on to other stuff. So, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.